Welcome to the Golden Seams, where we, Gabe and Michae, your hosts, invite you to join us on a transformative journey of self-discovery and personal growth. Our podcast is all about helping you uncover your authentic self, find your true calling, and create prosperity in alignment with your deepest values and aspirations.
We're embarking on the realm of self-love and self-worth, guided by the illuminating wisdom of Brené Brown's The Gifts of Imperfection. Prepare to challenge societal expectations and embrace your authentic self as we delve into this groundbreaking work that has touched millions of lives worldwide. Through Brown's expertise for wholehearted living, we'll discover together how to let go of who we think we're supposed to be and embrace who we truly are.
Now, let's get into wholeheartedness.
The thing that is really hard and really amazing is giving up on being perfect and being the work of becoming yourself. Anna Quindlen. That's from Brené Brown's The Gifts of Imperfection, Cultivating Self-Compassion, Letting Go of Perfectionism, Guidepost number 2. Brené tells us the relationship between shame and perfectionism. Where perfectionism exists, shame is always lurking. In fact, shame is the birthplace of perfectionism. She says, we don't claim shame. The problem is that when we don't claim shame, it claims us. Brené explains the relationship between shame and perfectionism. Where perfectionism exists, shame is always lurking. In fact, shame is the birthplace of perfectionism. We don't claim shame. The problem is that when we don't claim shame, it claims us. And one of the ways it sneaks into our lives is through perfectionism. This reminds me of how we all have blind spots. When I have a client with a blind spot, usually it links back to shame and it's hidden by perfectionism. I've worked with individuals and studied on OCD. It links back to perfectionism as well, in the sense of you have to do everything in an exact certain way to feel safe and secure. I think it's very interesting the different ways that perfectionism reveals itself in each of us.
Brené says she finds it extremely helpful to bust some of the myths about perfectionism so that we can develop a definition. She starts, perfectionism is not the same thing as striving to be your best. Perfectionism is not about healthy achievement and growth. Perfectionism is the belief that if we live perfect, look perfect, and act perfect, we can minimize or avoid the pain of blame, judgment, and shame. It's a shield. Perfectionism is a 20-ton shield that we lug around, thinking it will protect us, when in fact it's the thing that's really preventing us from taking flight. It's stopping us from being seen.
That line, perfectionism is the belief that if we live perfect, look perfect, and act perfect, we can minimize or avoid the pain of blame, judgment, and shame. That is hitting me right in my throat. It feels very true and real to me. Whenever I see someone and they look completely perfect, their family looks completely perfect, I almost jump back into that idea in my head of that commercial, what's in your wallet, only I think what's in your closet. Because
So funny.
and I know it sounds so judgmental, and perfectionism is definitely my Achilles heel. But when I go back to, for example, Michelle Obama, when they went to the White House and how she just felt so much pressure to make everything perfect, and she shares that, and I think it's very vulnerable but honest, and she does it in a very humble way. I look at other people in those positions, a lot of political people, they always come crashing down. The more perfect they look, it seems the harder they fall.
What's interesting to me is to see this idea that perfect, because this implies that there is one measure that quantifies perfect for everybody, right? And it maybe is different when we start trying to implement it into our lives, but what the people you're describing who are trying to present that way en masse for whatever reason, be it their career or other, whatever, political reason that they're trying that, it's kind of counterintuitive because I don't know if nature has one pattern that fits all. In the times in my life where I start getting caught in loops with perfectionism, I really resonated with when she talked about it being a 20-ton shield that we lug around. I realized that I usually carry it around unconsciously when I'm feeling insecure for whatever reason. It's completely a defense mechanism, but in the moment I'm experiencing it as like an inflation of my ego or a positive. I'm eluding myself that it's a positive. And the more I think about it, it's the areas in my sense of self where scar tissue formed around my worthiness wounds when certain comments were made that kind of hit the core of my being, and maybe I wasn't ready to understand why the comment hurt or why that situation affected me, but over time like that wound healed funny, and now I have this protective mechanism from touching it or acknowledging it, and it's crazy how it hides.
I so agree with that.
Brené's next point is that perfectionism is not self-improvement. Perfectionism at its core is about trying to earn approval and acceptance. Most perfectionists were raised being praised for achievements and performance. Grades, manners, rule following, people pleasing, appearance, sports. Somewhere along the way, we adopt this dangerous and debilitating belief system. I am what I accomplish, and how well I accomplish it. Please, perform, perfect. Healthy striving is self-focused. How can I improve? Perfectionism is other-focused. What will they think? I started realizing that when I get stuck in the belief that I am what I accomplish, I can almost trace it back to moments in my life or my upbringing where I felt like I was not living up to the standards of the environment to get my needs met in those situations. So I created conditional dynamics. And I think that feeling of having to meet their expectations created a belief system that there were conditions to the love that I receive.
Dovetailing
And
on that, Gabe, I have worked with people, and I even know of women who are my friends, where their husbands or men in their lives have made subtle threats about trading in
wow.
their wives, trading in their girlfriends if they didn't look a certain way or do what these men felt was appropriate. It was heartbreaking. In addition, I am what I accomplish and how well I accomplish it. I remember overhearing these two doctors at my daughter's school when she was in middle school. And one doctor introduced herself by her name into the group,
Mm.
and the other doctor introduced herself and said, I'm Dr. Such and Such. She said her full name. The other doctor called her by her first name, and she said, Is that okay if I call you by your first name? And she goes, No, you can call me doctor. And she said her last name. My other friends were doctors as well, and we all overheard it. Everyone else was taking their guard down as mothers in the group and showing up for her kids. Her children caused problems throughout the school, yet she created this personification of perfection. I remember just being uncomfortable with the entire situation and feeling really sorry for her children. Very interesting dynamic. Me looking in also as a person who has perfectionistic issues. Mine specifically relate to myself, my body, and my work. It's very much about me, myself, not outside. And again, this is due to my upbringing and how I was raised. I think it's very interesting, this chapter.
The more we explore this perfectionism, it comes across like a Stockholm syndrome, where we start getting these distorted feelings for this captive energy that's holding us. I could even see like me seeking validation from dehumanizing dynamics because of it and thinking that that's what I need to do to get out of it,
It,
like the shield.
it takes me to, again, that gut check.
Mm.
Healthy striving is self focused. How can I improve? Perfectionism is other focused. What will they think? When you're exercising, you may be floating in and out of, I'm exercising for my health, but then you may be thinking of how good you want to look to impress that person at whatever event. It's the gut
Mm.
check, right? Am I doing this to
Right.
improve myself, or am I doing it because of I am thinking in terms of what someone else will think?
Enjoyed what you heard? There's more to explore. For full-length discussions, exclusive content, and easy-to-use tools designed to effortlessly support your authentic transformation, subscribe to our Patreon, The Golden Seams. Don't miss out. We welcome you to join our growing community and dive deeper into the topics you love. Experience the golden seams on Patreon and unlock the complete experience for yourself now.
Brené says, research shows that perfectionism hampers success. In fact, it's often the path to depression, anxiety, addiction, and life paralysis. Life paralysis refers to all of the opportunities we miss because we're too afraid to put anything out in the world that could be imperfect. It's also all of the dreams that we don't follow because of our deep fear of failing, making mistakes, and disappointing others. It's terrifying to risk when you're a perfectionist. Your self-worth is on the line.
Thinking about perfection started making me think about my relationship to the word ambition and aspiration. And this is something that I've distinguished in my own mind in the past, but I had never understood why. And as I was reading this, I realized that when I think of the word ambition, it's a lot of competitive energy. It requires a lot of relationship to others. The success is based, for me, in comparison to others on where I stand, where I am, how high I've climbed. And aspiration is just me with myself. Like, am I doing better than yesterday with myself for myself?
That's interesting.
The way I hear and use the words definitely has that energy. And the idea of the life paralysis started making me think about how perfectionism could be this trap that gets us to program ourselves into submission.
Definitely, because she says it's terrifying to risk when you're a perfectionist. Your self-worth is on the line. When you take that back even further, it's, am I going to be loved?
Mm,
Am I lovable for who I am? If we shake it all out, that's what that drills down to.
wow. And what a crazy thing to leverage over a human being. This energy that animates and sustains all life in our reality being withheld for us being who we are is such a dark, twisted reality that exists here on Earth. It's so heartbreaking.
It's an interesting solution that I have experienced myself, and I've seen it in a couple of other people where they moved completely across the country to different countries. They moved far away from their families and where they were raised and where they grew up. They left everything behind, and in doing so, they were able to leave all of those labels and create a new life for themselves and all of those, if you will, the box that they were put in. What was fantastic is they didn't go back other than that regular phone call to check in, but didn't relay what they were doing in their own lives until they were successful standing on their own 2 feet and doing very well.
Mm,
There's that belief, wherever I go, there I am.
mm.
I do find it curious because I've experienced it myself and I've seen it in other people. It makes me think if that's the way you find out who you really are.
Mm. Creating
Possibly
the space, I could see that.
shedding those labels, those conformities, all of those pieces.
Right.
Brené gives us insights that she put together to create a definition of perfectionism. Perfectionism is a self-destructive and addictive belief system that fuels this primary thought. If I look perfect, live perfect, work perfect, and do everything perfectly, I can avoid or minimize the painful feelings of shame, judgment, and blame. I knew a woman who was so caught up in perfectionism that I watched it destroy her self-esteem and her self-worth. Everything had to be perfect. She had to work out, she had to look perfect, her hair had to be perfect, her makeup, everything. And it started affecting her health. It was very sad. She was a really wonderful person. It all was related back to her self-esteem and her self-worth. This belief of, if I'm not this way, if I show up any differently than this, I'm not lovable, I won't be accepted, and I'm not worthy.
Wow. What a hard, ever changing target, impossible target to hit.
Exactly. And to live in that day in and day out and be miserable and not know that that's why you're miserable. It's heartbreaking to watch a person like that.
Brené says perfectionism is self-destructive simply because there is no such thing as perfect. Perfection is an unattainable goal. Additionally, perfectionism is more about perception. We want to be perceived as perfect. Again, this is unattainable. There is no way to control perception, regardless of how much time and energy we spend trying.
One of the pieces that helped me to start stepping out of perfectionism with myself before I came across Brené Brown's work was I had come to this conclusion that we are extensions of the Creator and we are creating. So we are already perfect in every single thing we do. And we're just here to remember. Once I realized and accepted this belief as my truth, because I felt like, how is this any different than the other truth, as we're all born sinners, quote unquote, as that's a truth that was incorporated into my life before. For me to have a complete about face and to realize and recognize that the divinity within me is an extension of the divine, and therefore I am perfect. We are all perfect. We are expressions of the Creator in everything that we're doing. We just get to choose how we wield that power. But regardless, we cannot undo the fact that we are already perfect. So whatever we create, whatever we do, whatever we don't do, we are already perfect. Because
I love that.
because the goal is expansion and creation, which is what the universe is doing.
That is so beautiful. To surrender to the intelligence around us all instead of impose our own limited intelligence onto it. That is amazing.
It's genuinely what allowed me to free myself with things in relation to my body, to how I showed up, because I was such an overachiever, always seeking that approval, looking for this love that is such a joke of a definition of love. If you have to have a title or so much money or so much success, and that is the definition of love that's been put upon you, that is such a massive disconnection from the divinity that is within us. And through a very long path, I came to understand this. Brené shares perfectionism is addictive because when we invariably do experience shame, judgment, and blame, we often believe it's because we weren't perfect enough. So rather than questioning the faulty logic of perfectionism, we become even more entrenched in our quest to live, look, and do everything just right.
This point made me think that by associating perfect with shame and guilt, when she started talking about the judgment, blame, shame, it started evoking similar feelings in me that I have experienced when I was dealing with addiction. This idea that I will have a different reality by doing the same things and not looking for the help that I need or the changes that I need to implement, and get caught in like a loop where I'm not in reality anymore.
It's a thought loop.
Yes.
Because no matter what, we're going to experience shame. Somebody's going to judge us. Somebody's going to blame us. The thought loop is, if I just been more perfect,
Yes.
then this wouldn't have happened. And so it goes back and it becomes an addiction to become more perfect.
The illusion that it's possible to even obtain it is addictive.
Or obtain some version of whatever the definition of perfect is. I think it's also an interesting thought to consider. Beauty has changed over time. Perfectionism changes over time. So again, this is really a human-based belief.
If we're really honest with ourselves, quote unquote perfect might be somebody who's just a completely genuine, authentic, and honest with themselves, being vulnerable, and and the idea of measuring it through our eyes or our ears with what we hear and what we see is kind of silly, because the quality of our actions and the quality of our feelings when we do something is between us and the universe. We are the ones in our bodies experiencing what we feel. Brené says feeling shamed, judged, and blamed, and the fear of these feelings, are realities of the human experience. Perfectionism actually increases the odds that we'll experience these painful emotions and often leads to self-blame. It's my fault. I'm feeling this way because I'm not good enough.
There's that thought loop feeding in on itself again. We're truly grateful for your presence and participation in this journey of self-discovery and personal growth. Remember, your path to authenticity and prosperity is unique, and we're honored to be a part of it. If you found value in today's episode, we invite you to like, subscribe, and share it with others who might benefit. Until next time, embrace your imperfections and let them be your greatest gifts.
This is Gabe and Michae signing off from the Golden Seams. May you discover the courage to be vulnerable, the compassion to love yourself, and the wisdom to live wholeheartedly. May your path be golden as you find the strength to mend and beautify the broken parts of your life, weaving golden threads through the fabric of your authentic self, just like the art of kintsugi. We'll see you in our next episode.